This isn't a picture.
Oh.
This is just something, it's something different.
What is it?
It's a television show.
That's what's on the screen?
Yeah, this is TV or whatever.
Oh, okay.
So it's like.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
I'm just asking.
That's okay.
I don't. All this technology.
And
I'm so ugly right now. I don't want my picture taken. It's about it's twice as long everywhere as it should be.
Okay.
I tend to let it go too long between haircuts because I just don't get around to getting in.
Mm-hmm.
I like a line under the beard.
Okay.
And a line in back.
Okay. Yeah, and I can. And what about on the cheek area? Do you want that nice and lined up as well?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I can definitely do that. And then let me ask you this question. I know where to go with the mustache because I can already see where it is. So with the beard, do you like how long this is and full this is? And do you want me to shape that, or do you want me to go down with it?
It's twice as long.
Okay,
yes.
So the beard's twice as long too? Mm-hmm. Okay, I got you. Yeah, that's pretty easy to. And then, so quick question with the hair on top. How do you comb it? Do you just kind of allow it to do its thing, or?
I brush it to the left, to my right.
Okay, I got you.
But as you can see, my hair is very flat. Yeah. It just lies, and I could brush it every 10 minutes, and 10 minutes later, it looks like it does now. It just lies on my head.
Okay,
kind of shapeless.
And I'll add some texture, that way it gives it some definition and shape.
Okay.
And then I'll be choosing, I have a few pairs of scissors here. These are Damascus steel.
Mm-hmm.
These were 1500. These are custom gold ones. These are nano powdered metal. I'm going to be using these ones.
Uh-huh.
And then those will be able to add the texture and everything.
Okay.
Just to thicken up the hair on top. Or should it be a whole new? And how did you find me?
I did a web search for haircuts by appointment. So I wanted an appointment. And yours came up. You had high ratings. And there were appointments available fairly quickly. I think I did the search on Monday.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it'll get booked out quick, but then it's not like weeks at a time or anything. Do about 15 to 18 haircuts a day.
I guess 2 an hour. Are you actually literally here from 9 to 6?
I'm here from like 7:30 to 6. We can call it 9 to 6. But I get here early.
Yeah, well, I retired in January, although I decided to go back and work some more, but I would see my first patient at 7. I've always been an early morning person. People say, why do you get here so early? Well, for me, that's actually not particularly early. I'd get there at 6 and start on paperwork and whatever.
Yeah, I like to stretch my legs into the day. I don't like to, you're open at 9 and you're there at 8:55.
Yeah, me either.
You didn't even wash your face before you left the house.
Yeah.
Wait, what is it you do for a living?
I'm an internal medicine specialist, adult medicine physician.
And so explain that.
Internal medicine?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because it's not well understood. It's not a specialty because the name actually doesn't say what we do.
Okay.
Thank you for asking. Yeah, a lot of people just have no idea. Okay, so the easiest way for me to explain it is if you take people from birth to end of life,
Mm-hmm.
That's the realm of family practice. So a family practice doctor knows a little bit about everything. okay? If you draw a line at age 18, most people understand what a pediatrician is. Pediatrician takes care of people 18 and younger, but they know more than a family practice doctor does about that age group, not because they're any smarter, but because their field is smaller.
That's more specific to that
Yeah,
particular.
they don't have to know about, end of life stuff and, other adult things. So pediatrician knows more than a family practice doctor about people 18 and younger, and often a family practice doctor, if they have a complicated situation like childhood diabetes or something, they'll refer them to a pediatrician. Okay? So internal medicine is the other half, 18 and older.
Sure.
So we call ourselves internists. So internal medicine is similar to pediatrics, but it's exclusive to 18 and older. So we do all aspects of primary care for adults, physicals and all that, but we also tend to take care of people with more complex medical problems that a family practice doctor doesn't want to get into, because we know more about that age group.
So do you have to have more schooling?
We do.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, we do.
Like 2 more years or...
Yeah, residency is about 2 years longer, depending on the residency. And a lot of the training for internal medicine is in the hospital, although that's less than it used to be. But
So you get more real training on the job training and everything.
and more complex problems for hospitalized people.
As you're training, you're shadowing, though, I assume, like you're shadowing someone.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That person is called a resident.
Oh yeah, okay. Oh, I get it. So I know someone who is a resident, and now that's what that meant. Now I get it.
A resident is a doctor. He or she is a doctor, but they have not completed their specialty training. So they work specifically under doctors who are in the field that they intend to specialize in. So if they're in a family practice residency, then they're going to work with family practice doctors, and that's nowadays mostly outpatient. And then internal medicine, we work with internal medicine docs. But one more thing about internal medicine is the gateway to further specialization. So a cardiologist has to first do an internal medicine residency and then go on and do what we call a fellowship in their subspecialty. So, and such a person is called a fellow.
Oh, wow.
As opposed to a resident, because they finished their internal.
Never heard of that.
Yeah, and that programs are referred to as fellowship programs.
And not that I would have heard of that, but I'm just saying I never heard of that.
Yeah, it's not your
But
field.
I have heard I have heard that expression resident, and it was from one of the guys here for sure.
Yeah,
So he's-
well, everybody today is residency trained,
Okay.
whether family practice or whomever. But if you want to be a cardiologist, you have to be residency trained in internal medicine. Then you have to do a fellowship in, say, cardiology or pulmonary or nephrology or whatever your field of interest is. And that's another 3 to 4 years. So that's 4 years of medical school, 4 years of residency, and 4 years of fellowship training, 12 years.
And then you figure you're very well versed at that point. The only downfall to that point of what I don't like is you become so well versed that we've developed such a passion for it that you can't see it through at some point because, you know, it was almost like Einstein, you know, and like not being able to, you know, he invented quantum mechanics
Right.
without knowing that he invented quantum mechanics. I think he was studying like quantum computations and birds or whatever it was, but I'm just saying it's like we only get 100 years here is the idea.
Mm-hmm.
And some people will say, oh, I've seen so-and-so lived to 105, but yeah, it rounds off to 100 years.
Yeah, right.
And less than that, sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but...
Well, I,
But
of course,
it's-
well know that.
But and then it's how we eat and everything too, so what we do to sustain what we have. Everyone's biological system is different, so you can't compare, you know, Tom to Harry or be, you know, or like, oh, well, he didn't smoke, so he, you know, this, that, and it's, you gotta do what you can do for your biological makeup, your
Yeah.
DNA.
Let me make a comment about Einstein.
Okay.
He was most interested in explaining gravity, and it's where he developed his theory of general relativity. But the interesting thing about that is that he came up with the general theory of relativity, and in doing the mathematics, his math showed that the universe had a beginning, and it greatly upset him. And it set up a tremendous controversy within astrophysics, because hitherto everyone thought that the universe was eternal. And so,
Which is wrong.
which is wrong. We now know it began about 14 billion years ago.
See, and that's where I come to my point of I wish that he were here today. That way he could, because if he knew the things we knew today, then it was like, but you can't do that. That's where it becomes kind of
Yeah,
the sleep factor. It's
but he was pretty upset about it. And so much so that he actually fudged his figures
on purpose.
on, either on purpose or because he was so determined that they not show an origin to the universe that he just let his biases interfere with the calculations. It was pointed out to him about 10 or 15 years later, and he fought it. But eventually he conceded, yeah, it does show there must be an origin.
Once you start going down the path of quantum physics and all of that, it starts to get a tiny bit dark because then it questions religion. It does. That's what I noticed right away.
Well, it doesn't, let me see how I would say it. It questions the validity of religion.
Yeah.
Because if the universe had a beginning, then what got it started? And that's what astrophysicists are upset about.
Tyson Neil deGrasse.
Because they only accept naturalistic explanations.
Well, I mean, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's okay, right? I mean, because that's because you have to be able to make an equation out of it, or it's not, it doesn't exist. So it's like, you know, in other words, he wants to have. He's a very factual individual, I would assume.
Yes,
He's fact driven. There's nothing more than.
I agree with that. But still, for astrophysicists, it leaves the origin unexplained, and they have no explanation.
Well, now we're on Mars. We're doing different things. Like cryptocurrency will become relevant, and Elon Musk will be a big pusher in its relevance.
Of cryptocurrency?
Yeah.
Specifically, I don't know any. That's an area I don't know anything about.
Yeah.
Other than I know the government is probably strongly supporting it, behind the scenes because it means they can tax everything, right? Because they're all electronic. If there's no cash transactions, then everything can be traced.
That's true. Well, look at all the string of violence over here and everything. It's now business owners are like, hey, we're just taking card and everything. It's like,
Yeah, I saw that.
I don't blame them for that.
No.
Most people have a debit card anyway, and it's like if they don't have it on them or whatever, you can trust them to go, bring it back at some point when they can. And it's like, if they don't come back, well.
Well, it's a lesser risk than having the place broke into.
Yeah. Beyond robbery and everything.
Remember when I was about 27, I saw the very, very first white hair in my mustache.
Oh yeah. Wait, when you were 27?
Yeah.
Oh, that's doing good.
Yeah, it is doing pretty good. Yeah. I remember seeing it there and said, oh, here we go.
It's weird to see with the UFO thing too, just to think, not in a weird way, but in a way of just to kind of nerd out in the sense of, now that, it just, there's a lot of stuff out here in New Mexico and everything. There's stuff, is that a star? It's like, Jesus. All those encounters and...
Interesting thing about that, though, yeah, there have been a lot of proposed sightings, but a UFO has never been seen to enter the atmosphere.
Well, that's not true. Okay, so it's never been proven to seem to enter the atmosphere, but then they say Roswell happened, so it's like, you know what I mean? I don't know how true that is or anything, but I'm saying they remember one crashed or whatever, and I don't know how that was. When there's so much like hype behind something, there's got to be some type of validity to the, there has to be a composition, something that's happened, not necessarily what the, but enough people are.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. They've just never been sighted coming into the atmosphere. They've always been sighted already here.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
But they've never been seen. There's never been a UFO seen to be passing into the Earth's atmosphere from space.
Agreed.
But I agree with you. I mean, if a whole bunch of people report something, it's true, they may not have it entirely accurately, but something happened. So I think that's a good point. A whole group of people aren't just going to make up.
Yeah, it's like we don't know what they saw, and they might not even know what they saw. They might say they saw something, but it's like something was fishy that day for sure. That wasn't a normal day, and
right.
Something
I agree.
taking place.
I agree. That's a good point.
It's kind of like just odd. But you know, then again, the government can't give you everything because you can't handle everything it has to offer. So, and I don't mean you directly, but I mean, it's just, that's how I think the government, you know, acts a little bit towards society in a sense. It's, you know, you can't have people in hysteria or whatever, you know what I mean? And
I see you've thought about these things a lot.
oh yeah, I have a tiny bit of a weird obsession with it. Just some recent stuff, but I'd like to go back to school and everything. Just for the hell of it though, I don't care about having a career in science or whatever, but I don't see why the World Science Fair doesn't come here. Because we have Los Alamos, we have all that stuff. That'd be nice for those guys to come out here and everything and do a little hubris flex, and then we can sit and, you know, because it's presents for a good conversation too. It's all right, go like this with the lip look. Just like, yeah, just because I'm gonna get the top, I wanna have this to do it. Maybe outlining it and everything. Because I look at it too and I say, well, damn, who designed all of this? Because some of it's so well designed that it's already just normal. Just normal. Some of it's so well designed that it's like, geez, you know, like photosynthesis and how certain biological agents can take advantage of certain particular situations in order to enhance themselves. And that's weird to me. So that kind of stuff had me a little bit intrigued and everything. It's like, that's kind of odd. Because I wanted to have a little bit of symmetry to it. That's really good. Hopefully we can all get vaccinated and get this shit over with and everything else and start, you know, getting back to a safe lifestyle. I ain't gonna say it's gonna be, you know, whatever normal is, or it's like getting back to a bit more of where they shut the businesses down and everything in the beginning. And this whole little eyebrow ear cleanup, that all comes customary with the haircut and everything. So it's just to make sure the client's cleaned up properly. And it takes 2 seconds.
Well, that was another thing that attracted me to your shop. It looked like on the website that, how should I say, had a bit more professional interest in the client than the young ladies on the corners and supercuts and those places. I don't like going to those places.
Well, I appreciate it. It's awesome you can do them. It's like, I'm like Andy Warhol. Andy Warhol couldn't just kick out a painting. It just wasn't a, I mean, it didn't, you know what I mean, dude? He just couldn't do that. It wasn't going to be, you know what I mean? I'm kind of greedy in that sense of where it has to be perfect for me as well. And I'm just saying only because I do this for a living and I'm obsessed with it. And I have to shave this neck and pop the hair together while it's short.
You've got a little Pac-Man game over there.
Yeah,
It's
what
kind
it
of
is.
funny. I find that kind of funny.
Yeah, it's nuts. And it has a few different video games on it.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? I'm kind of surprised because I kind of charge it a little bit and everything. And it's like, especially for a kid circuit, and yet I have a lot of kids. Which is, that's where I was like, and they do like that video games, so they can hang out and do whatever they want to do. In 20-something years, and they say, oh, he doesn't sit still, or he does this, and it never happens with me.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a weird thing. Like, it's like, and I'm learning now, it's never gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
It's like there's something about, you gotta show the child respect as well as, you can't, you know, be having them, you know, holding him down, and you gotta, you know, once they realize that you're not gonna hurt them, you're there to respect them, and this starts to. And then a lot of people don't like doing kids cuts. I love doing them only because it's like, damn, they grow up. It's like you're not looking at the, you know what I mean? They're going to be your new future client. Like,
Mm-hmm.
just have a tiny bit of this. And so that's how your hair is on top. I added the texture just so it
Mhm.
thickens up a bit. That's how the beard looks. I want to show you in the mirror so you can see the back of the hair.
Well, it looks good.
And then you can see up front to see your beard trim.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Yeah, it looks good. Mm-hmm.
All right, awesome. Now watch, like, stand up real quick and look at it in the mirror. I just want you to see it like up there, up close, so you can see it with your clothes on and know that the beard is right and that everything looks good.